Listen to me, there comes a moment in your life when you get tired of pouring into everything and everyone while leaving yourself empty. A moment when you look in the mirror and realize you've been giving your time, your strength, your heart, but you haven't been giving any of it to yourself. And until you change that, nothing around you is going to change for you. Today, I want you to pause everything that pulls at you and hear this with your full attention. You've spent years trying to prove something to people who barely notice your effort. You've spent months trying to carry situations that drain you. You've spent too many days letting noise decide your direction. But now it's time. It's time to focus. It's time to value yourself, not in a selfish way, but in a healthy, grounded, necessary way. Because the strength you're looking for won't come from applause. It won't come from approval. It won't come from someone finally waking up and appreciating you. It comes from the moment you decide that you matter, your peace matters, your growth matters, your voice matters. And once you start honoring yourself, everything in your life starts to shift. When you silence the noise, you give yourself a chance to finally hear what's been trying to speak inside you. Most people move through life surrounded by voices, expectations, and distractions that keep them from recognizing their own direction. You wake up and your mind is already crowded with worries, opinions, and responsibilities. Before you take your first step, the world is already shouting at you about what you should be, what you should chase, and what you should fear, but none of that helps you discover where you're actually supposed to go. There's a reason you feel overwhelmed when you never slow down. There's a reason your confidence gets shaky when you keep comparing yourself to everything around you. When the noise is loud, you lose the ability to trust your own instincts. You begin to doubt what you feel because you're so used to hearing what everybody else thinks. And the more you let that noise lead your life, the further you drift from the path that was meant for you. Silence in the noise isn't about ignoring people or shutting the world out. It's about creating the space you need to think clearly and breathe without pressure. It's choosing moments where you step away from the constant pull of demands and reconnect with your purpose. When you stop rushing from one thing to another, you start noticing what actually fuels you and what drains you. You start recognizing which desires are yours and which ones you adopted just to fit in or avoid judgment. You can't focus on yourself if you're always surrounded by chaos. You can't value your own voice if you're always reacting to the voices around you. There comes a point when you have to be intentional about your environment. You have to take back control of your thoughts. You have to calm the noise long enough to hear that quiet inner push telling you what you need, what you're capable of, and what direction feels true to you. Clarity isn't loud. It rarely shouts. It whispers. And if your life is full of noise, you'll miss it every time. But when you take a moment to slow down, something shifts. You feel grounded. You think better. You make choices that match your values instead of your fears. You see opportunities that were hidden behind the noise. You move with confidence because the direction is coming from within, not from pressure outside. When you silence the noise, you rediscover yourself. You recover your strength. You hear your purpose again. And once you hear it, you can finally follow it. There comes a moment when you have to look at where your energy is going and be honest about what it's costing you. You can't keep pouring into people and places that never pour anything back. You can't keep showing up with strength for situations that leave you drained and empty when the day ends. When you give and give without any balance, you start losing pieces of yourself in the process. Your motivation fades. Your clarity slips. Your confidence gets thin because you're running on fumes. Most people don't realize how much they're carrying until they finally stop and feel the weight. You might be the one who always steps up, always helps, always listens, always supports. And while that sounds noble, it becomes unhealthy when the people around you start expecting it instead of appreciating it. When your effort becomes invisible, when your kindness becomes something they take for granted, that's when you know you're pouring into the wrong places. You were never meant to exhaust yourself just to keep others comfortable. You weren't created to be a constant source for everyone while neglecting your own needs. There has to be a point where you recognize that your energy has value, your time has value, your presence has value. And if someone can't respect that, they shouldn't have unlimited access to you. Pulling back isn't selfish, it's responsible. It's choosing to protect the parts of you that make you strong. It's choosing to give from a place of fullness instead of survival. When you keep pouring into the wrong environments, you stop growing. But when you redirect that same effort toward healthier places, you start to rise. You start to feel lighter. You start to feel more like yourself again. You deserve relationships that refill you. You deserve opportunities that match your effort. You deserve peace instead of pressure. When you stop investing in what drains you, you create room for what nourishes you. You create space for people who respect your boundaries, who appreciate your heart, who don't just take from you, but stand with you. This shift isn't easy. You might feel guilty at first. You might feel uncertain when you step back from familiar patterns. But as you step away from what drains you, you'll notice something powerful. Your strength returns. Your focus sharpens. Your spirit feels lighter. And you finally have the energy to build a life that grows you instead of draining you. Valuing your energy, your time, and your emotional capacity starts with recognizing that these are not endless resources. They have limits, and when you cross those limits over and over, it affects everything about how you think, how you show up, and how you move forward. Too often, people give their best strength to the wrong priorities and leave nothing for the parts of life that actually matter. You might push yourself to keep up with demands, expectations, or routines that don't support your growth simply because you feel obligated. But obligation is not the same as purpose. And when you live from obligation alone, you end up tired in ways that rest can't fix. Your time is one of the most valuable things you own. You can't get it back. You can't rewind it. You can't replace it. When you spend it on things that don't grow you or bring you peace, you're trading hours of your life for something that leaves you empty. It's important to notice where your time goes and ask yourself if it's building you or draining you. Every moment you invest should move you toward clarity, growth, or peace in some way. Even small decisions shape your direction more than you realize. Your energy works the same way. When you treat it like it's endless, you stretch yourself thin. You find yourself saying yes to things that slow you down and no to things that would have helped you rise. You wake up tired, carry frustration you don't talk about, and move through the day with the sense that you're losing yourself piece by piece. But when you honor your energy, you become mindful of what deserves your presence and what doesn't. You learn to give your best to the things that matter and step away from the things that drain your spirit. Your emotional capacity might be the most overlooked of all. When you push yourself to carry feelings you don't address, or when you absorb problems that aren't yours to solve, your heart becomes heavy. You start reacting instead of responding. You feel overwhelmed even by small things because you're already emotionally stretched. But when you value your emotional space, you become more patient with yourself. You understand your limits. You take breaks when needed. You give yourself room to process, to heal, and to breathe. When you value your time, energy, and emotional capacity, you send a message to yourself that you matter. You position your life around balance instead of burnout. And you step into a healthier rhythm where you can grow without losing yourself. Setting clear boundaries is one of the strongest things you can do for your growth, yet it's also one of the hardest. Many people avoid boundaries because they fear disappointing others or they worry about being misunderstood. But the truth is, without boundaries, you end up living a life shaped by pressure instead of purpose. You start saying yes when your whole spirit is saying no. You allow access to people who haven't earned it. You carry weight that doesn't belong to you. Boundaries aren't walls, they're clarity. They remind you where your responsibility ends and where someone else's begins. When you create boundaries, you're not pushing people away. You're making room for yourself. You're giving yourself permission to protect your time. your peace and your capacity. You're choosing to stop letting every request, every opinion, and every expectation dictate how you live. Boundaries bring order to your life. They help you stay focused on what matters instead of being pulled in every direction by demands that don't serve your future. People might not understand your boundaries at first, especially if they benefited from your lack of them. When you start saying you can't do something, or you need space, or you're no longer available the way you used to be, some people won't like it. That reaction isn't a sign that you're doing something wrong. It's a sign that you're finally taking care of yourself, and anyone who truly values you will adjust. They'll respect the lines you draw because they understand they come from a place of growth, not rejection. Boundaries also help you understand yourself better. They show you what you can handle and what you can't. They reveal what brings you peace and what brings you stress. They help you make decisions with a calm mind instead of reacting out of habit or pressure. When you live without boundaries, life becomes chaotic. But when you set them, you create structure, you create space to breathe, think, and recover. A boundary is simply a decision to protect what's important. It's saying you won't allow your life to be shaped by guilt, fear, or obligation. It's choosing to honor your energy instead of letting it be drained. It's letting people know how to treat you and what you're willing to accept. And once you set those boundaries, you'll notice a shift. You'll feel lighter. You'll feel more centered. You'll feel more in control of your direction. Boundaries don't limit your life. They strengthen it. They make room for the growth you've been reaching for. Investing in your gifts, your habits, and the future you want begins with recognizing that nothing in your life grows without attention. The potential inside you doesn't expand on its own. The dreams you carry don't develop just because you hope for them. Growth happens when you make a conscious decision to pour time, effort, and consistency into who you're becoming. Too many people wait for the perfect moment, the perfect opportunity, or the perfect motivation before they start moving. But progress rarely starts with perfection. It starts with a simple choice to honor your abilities and take small, steady steps toward the life you want. Your gifts are not accidents. They're strengths that show up in the way you think, the way you create, the way you solve problems, and the way you connect with people. When you neglect those gifts, you feel disconnected from yourself. You feel stuck, frustrated, or unfulfilled because a part of you isn't being used. But when you take time to develop your skills, study your craft, practice your abilities, and explore your creativity, something powerful happens. You gain confidence. You gain clarity. You gain direction. You start seeing doors you didn't notice before because your focus shifts from what's missing to what's possible. Your habits shape your future more than your intentions. You can want change, but without habits that support that change, you end up repeating the same cycles. When you build routines that nourish your mind and strengthen your discipline, you create momentum. Simple habits like reading, planning your day, managing your time, or taking care of your health can shift your entire direction. They may feel small, but over time they create stability, purpose, and a stronger sense of control over your life. Investing in your future means making choices today that your future self will thank you for. It means being honest about what you need to let go of and what you need to start. It means recognizing that the future you want won't arrive by accident. It comes from intention. It comes from commitment. It comes from showing up for yourself, even when nobody is watching, even when it feels slow, even when it requires patience. When you invest in your gifts and your habits, you're choosing to rise. You're choosing to believe that your life can grow. You're choosing to honor the potential that's been inside you all along. And with every step you take, you build a future that reflects your effort, your growth, and your vision. Choosing environments that recognize your worth instead of minimizing it means paying attention to how the spaces around you shape your confidence, your mindset, and your direction. You can be talented, disciplined, and full of potential, but if you stay in places that don't value you, you start shrinking without even realizing it. You begin to question your strengths, because no one reflects them back to you. You start adjusting yourself to fit into rooms that were never built for your growth. Over time, that wears you down. It chips away at your identity, your dreams, and your belief in what you're capable of. The people you surround yourself with play a major role in how you see yourself. Some environments build you. They challenge you in healthy ways. They encourage your ideas. They respect your efforts, and they make space for you to grow. Other environments drain you. They criticize more than they uplift. They overlook your strengths. They expect your support, but don't offer any in return. And if you're not careful, you'll spend years trying to earn respect from places that were never meant to recognize your value in the first place. You don't rise by staying where you're tolerated. You rise by stepping into spaces where your presence is appreciated. That doesn't mean you look for constant praise or validation. It means you choose environments that push you forward instead of holding you back. You choose to be around people who speak life into your ideas, who challenge you with intention, who want to see you become a better version of yourself, not a smaller one. When you choose better environments, your mindset shifts. You think clearer. You carry yourself with more confidence. You feel safer to express your ideas without fear of being judged or dismissed. You become more open to learning, more willing to try, more courageous about stepping into new opportunities. That's what healthy environments do. They make you grow in ways you didn't even know you needed. Leaving environments that minimize you can feel uncomfortable, especially when they're familiar. But comfort is not the same as growth. At some point, you have to prioritize your future over your familiarity. You have to be willing to walk away from what limits you so you can walk toward what strengthens you. When you choose spaces that recognize your worth, you protect your identity. You protect your confidence. You protect your future. And you give yourself the chance to rise into the person you were always meant to become.